big question I have for you is over the past few years, my wife and I have been working on boundaries with my parents, just establishing healthy boundaries for us as a family. We have 3 kids, and my mom has a fairly abrasive personality, let's just put it that way.
What does that mean?
And she's fairly toxic in a lot of ways.
I know, but what does that mean? Give me some examples.
It means that, she makes comments to my wife that seem to drive a wedge between us at times.
I know, dude, you're like, what are they?
Well, if she'll make comments like, that we parent our kids a certain way that makes it obvious she doesn't approve of, right? Things like we coddle our kids or, just little comments here and there.
Okay.
Issues with them seem to kind of bubble up and smooth over the course of a few years, right? But recently they kind of reached a boiling point with me as they left us out of the annual family vacation. So my wife and I have been pretty upset about it, and it's really difficult to be around them and just act like nothing happened. And I'm just looking for a little help on, maybe where do we go from here?
Yeah, so I'm taking your word for it. I was trying to pry a little bit, but I'm taking your word for it that, like, saying, like, here's an example. You have a son?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's say your son is 4 years old and the son's crying and y'all are just letting him go to sleep, and mom, or y'all go in there to hug him, and mom says, you just let him cry. And you say, well, we're going to go in there and hug him. Well, y'all are just coddling that little kid. He's going to turn into a brat, right? There's that, which is annoying, and that's kind of some people's like personality, but it's my kid. I don't really care.
Right.
I'm assuming that when you say abrasive and toxic, that there's more than just that, because that stuff's annoying and that stuff just whatever. I would never let my kid wear that, or that music they're listening to is okay, whatever. You get your opinion, you could say what you want to say, but you're my parents and I'm going to move on with my life. I'm going to take your word that there's probably more than that. You just don't want to talk about on air, which is fine. Tell me about what you did when you found out there was this family vacation that they purposely left you out of. What did you do? Did you call your dad? Did you call your mom?
I did not.
Why not?
I stewed on it for a few days and just, I was really upset by it and
sure,
very angry, about that and at them. We saw them a couple weeks later, and everybody just kind of acted like it didn't happen. Someone made a comment like, "Hey, we missed you guys," and it just felt very fake. Like you missed us, but we also didn't get an invite. And
yeah, but you were fake
my
too.
sisters and I don't have.
You were fake too, because you went along with it.
Absolutely, I did.
Yeah, and so I would guess you're equally disappointed that you got left out for some reason, and also equally disappointed in yourself for how you responded. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have a sibling you could call, or is your dad somebody that isn't going to fly off at you?
I could probably talk to a sibling or my dad about it, and I've made comments to my siblings in the past, like, hey, I would never go on a vacation with, in that scenario, in that situation, with mom and dad or whatever. And, but things change over time, and it still feels like, we still trying to reconcile why there wasn't even an invite, right? Because in the past there was more extravagant vacations, right? Cross-country trips, out of the country, things like that we were just kind of excluded from due to the size of our family and when, the stage of life we were in. But that could be my perception too. But
let me paint you a different picture though, and just something to hold in tension, okay? Your mom and your dad, I'm just going to throw them in the same bucket, even though that may not be fair. Your mom and your dad both know that y'all don't appreciate their quips and comments about how you and your wife are parenting. You've told one of your siblings, I would never go on one of those vacations.
Mm-hmm.
They've not invited you in the past, and the story you've told yourself is because of life circumstances and time.
Well, they have invited us.
Okay,
in the
they
past,
didn't.
and then
Okay, even better. So they have
then
invited you, and y'all said no, and they invited you again,
Right.
and you said no.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a possibility that they thought the thing they could give y'all is what you've been asking for so long, which is to not be out and about with us? Because it sounds like you want to keep getting asked, and you want to be the person in the one-up position to say no or yes. And maybe they gave you the gift that they think you've been asking for, which is just to be left off the list.
I never thought of it that way.
I mean, the way you're talking to me, it's like, man, they hooked you up. They didn't bother you with an invite this year.
Yeah.
And all this to say is the part that concerns me the most is not that. It's not you got left off. It's not that you've said no a whole bunch of times and there's a miscommunication. It's that for whatever reason, you either think your mom and or your dad could not have this conversation, or you're scared to have this conversation. I don't know what the gap is, but
I think it's a little of both.
Okay.
I think, it's my mom is have a personality that it's impossible to have a conversation with her unless, you agree with everything that, she says.
Sure. And that makes her
my
like
dad is,
90% of mothers across the world, right? Like all across all planet.
That's fair.
That's not how you make that meal. That's not how you do that. That's just that just is, right? And so
yeah.
Now I hate that you can't have a substantive conversation, but that is what that is. I keep wanting to go back to you though. What do you want to accomplish by a further conversation? Because it sounds like you and your wife got what you really wanted, which is to be left alone.
Yeah, and I guess I just felt like I hurt them some way, right? Like,
did you?
I never intended by declining in the past to hurt them. And did I finally hurt my parents enough where, like you said, they just left us off the list?
It might be hurt, or it might be when the kid knocks on my door trying to sell me another box of cookies and another box of cookies, and I say no every year. I'm not trying to hurt him. I'm just saying, here's my place right now. And then if the person who knocks on my door is trying to sell me cookies catches me in a low moment, I'll buy the whole thing. All right? I'll eat all of them, right?
I've listened to your show long enough. I could envision you doing that.
Yeah, I'll hammer them, dude. I could get after some Girl Scout cookies. So all I have to say is like, here's the thought I'm having. You're creating a bunch of stories in other people's heads, and then you're responding to those stories that may or may not be true. And the only path forward is right through the middle of them. And so if you think you hurt your mom and your dad, the integrous move is to sit down with your dad. And if your mom can't hear it, great. Sit down with your dad and say, Dad, I think I screwed up. You've invited us on 3 or 4 or 5 different family vacations, and I've told you no every time. And this year I was kind of gunning and ready to go. And y'all didn't invite me, and I realized y'all probably didn't invite me because I've made it clear I don't want to go. And I messed that up, man, and I'm sorry about that. If that's what you really believe.
Well, I think there's more layers, just like anything, right? And part of the problem, I think, with me is I still become that old me that I hate when I'm around them, right? My wife and I have done a lot of work through counseling and through, just trying to be better than what our human nature allows when we're parenting and things like that. And for some reason, when I'm around the family, it seems like I'm that child again.
So can I challenge the work you've done?
Yeah.
So what I would suggest is maybe y'all have done a lot of discovery, a lot of uncovering. What I would challenge you is the real work is now continuing to show up, if that's what you want to do, and practicing being somebody new.
Yeah.
And
that's the hard part.
Dude, it's brutal. It's brutal. It's brutal constantly saying in your mind, you don't get a vote. I love you and you don't get a vote. I love you and your guilt or your anger or your rage is for you to hold on to. I can't hold it for you. All of that's hard. But
Yeah.
that is work 2.0. I want you to do this. I actually was working with a married couple recently. I did this exact same thing. I want you to get a picture of your mom and put it in a small frame. I want you to get a picture of your dad and put it in a small frame. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to put it on your desk at home. Maybe even go out on a date with your wife and put it at the table. Put those pictures up. And I want you to cut eyes at them and say, "Hi, Mom and Dad, we've invited you on this date to get your opinion on what we're going to do this summer. And little Jimmy is struggling with sleeping, and so we invited you to the table to drop your opinions in on what's happening." And when you do that, you'll realize how silly the whole thing is. And there's a physical practice of taking that picture and putting it down and saying, "I love you, but you don't get a vote here." Every time you're about to yell at your wife or your kids on the way to grandma's house, pull that picture out and say, "Hey, Mom, this one's for you. Hey, Dad, this one's for you." And the data says that sort of interaction, the yelling, it evaporates. Because you realize I am geared up with nothing to do with my wife and my lovely kids.
Right.
Right. But there's something about carrying those pictures around and letting them like, "Hey, Mom and Dad, we have 3 kids and we're trying to reimagine our sex life. We wanted to invite y'all to this conversation." And you'll both go, "Gross. No, you don't get a vote." And you turn the pictures down. Or maybe you take them off the table completely. And then, "Hey, we are doing a budget this month and we're trying to figure out between getting new shoes and whatever. And we wanted to invite y'all to this conversation." No, y'all don't get a vote on this one. "Hey, we're thinking about getting a dog. What do you guys?" No, you don't get a vote. "Hey, we're thinking about coming on Christmas. We don't have the money this year. We're exhausted. You don't get a vote on this one." And it's just a form of practice. Just a form of practice. But you've done the what I would call the discovery work. And it's hard work. Like when you dig through past conversations and you sit with a therapist and you talk about it and you and your wife spin over and over and she says, "I don't really want to do this." And you're like, "All right, I'm going to tell them we can't make the trip this year." You're starting the discovery practice. Now I want you to enact it. And if you don't want to enact it, ask yourself, why am I at 40 years old, almost halfway through my life, why am I still inviting people who have hurt me so badly to the table to ask their opinion on what I do next? And you're going to have to do one of two things. Either begin to practice work 2.0, which is acting your way through this and feeling it and choosing. I want to yell right now, and I'm not going to because it's not about them. Whew. Or, "Hey, kids, we're all going on our own vacation this year. And where's Grandma and Grumps? Where's Grandma and my dad is, my kids call my dad Grumps, and so that's why I just slipped out there. But where's Grandma and Granddad? Like, where are they?" "Well, we're taking our own family vacation. What do you guys want to do?" And we're going to begin planning that way. But you get to decide those paths. What I would tell you is just sitting where you are with your foot on the gas, just spinning and thinking and thinking and thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking. Whew. It's just digging a deeper hole. And I want you to begin moving forward.